and welcome to the Legacy of Love podcast. This podcast teaches wise women to become fully self-sourced so that they can experience the joy and bliss of life in every present moment. Take empowered decisions that serve life by taking care of their own heart and well-being first, so that they are living and breathing their legacy of love, integrating their spiritual values of oneness, truth, and compassion into their day-to-day reality. I'm your host, Gwendolyn Rachel. Let's dive in. Hey, and welcome to today's podcast. I am very happy to be here with you. And in this episode, I would love to share with you on the topic of shifting the urge from wanting to get rid of something which is causing you pain into the gold and wisdom on the other side. So today, for the scope of this podcast, we're focusing mainly on an archetype that you might be suppressing. So the entranceway of something that is causing you pain can be a part or an archetype which you're suppressing within. It can be emotional pain, it can be physical pain. And today we focus on the archetypal aspect mostly. Now, if you are subscribed to my love letter, you have recently learned the 3-step process guiding principles that have been supporting me personally for most of my life. And these 3 pillars are also the foundation of my work that I utilize to support people on their journey for the past 8 years. So whether you're subscribed to my newsletter or not, I will recap these 3 pillars so that we are all on the same page. And then I will give you some examples from recent conversations I've been having where the power of self-love in action resulted into beautiful perspective shifts. And a quick note here, these perspective shifts, they seem very minor. However, it is in these micro shifts in our way of perceiving the world, in our way of interaction, that true, lasting change happens, which is then being multiplied. So I really encourage you, do not be deluded by the seeming simplicity of what I'm sharing here, because this can, if you really open up into full curiosity, truly change your experience of life. And my intention with giving you these examples of conversations is that these stories inspire you into opening up to what's possible for you. And yeah, you do not have to remember any of these examples. My hope is that you relate to one of them. So perhaps you will see yourself in one of these stories. What I do want you to walk away with today, and will encourage you to remember, is a question, which I'm going to be asking you at the very end of this episode. So stay with me throughout the whole process, because this simple question has the power to change your whole experience of life. So before we dive in, one more quick note. If you're not receiving my love letter yet, and you would like to receive weekly inspiration on moving into spiritual maturity through radical self-love, just either send me an email. This you can do at info@gwendolinrachel.com, or you can send me a DM on Instagram at gwendolinrachel. And if you send me an email or a DM subscribing to the love letter, I will also send you over the self-love sheet, which is a super handy tool of just one page, and you can easily pin it onto your fridge. I am really excited about this one because it supports you with 3 very simple practices that you have with you throughout your day, and they help you to live from your deepest values in every present moment. And remember, this is a practice, so it's, we're forgetful human beings. It's very helpful to have something to remind us what is really important. So that is what this sheet is for. So let's start today with a review on the 3-step process. So this is in order to create lasting change in your life by bringing that version of you who is resilient and has integrated all the wisdom that is already yours into your present experience. So you bring them into the here and now. And that is basically the process of falling in love with yourself. You bring you here now. And what happens then is that your spiritual innate knowing becomes embodied, and you are breathing your legacy of love. This is the 3-step process that supports this. 1 is bringing awareness. 2 is moving stagnant energy. And 3 is executing a new way of being. So I'm gonna just speak a little bit into each of these aspects, not so much, but just giving you a taste. So awareness, this is 1 step. We do that in many ways. The most simple one is paying attention. And this is my lovingly joking way of saying being present. Listening to and noticing what life is sharing with us in each moment. And this is a skill that we cultivate through meditation, contemplation, and conversation. Moving stagnant energy is the next step. We do that through emotional alchemy and embodiment. And this is essentially the process of moving trauma or stress out of the body. And when that leaves the body, it will be accompanied by the attached, outdated beliefs and ways of being, which are coping strategies. Moving stagnant energy, we also do that by bringing different parts of your inner world into alignment in a way that doesn't bypass them. So we do that by acknowledging their value and honoring them for where they have brought us. We do that by retrieving their wisdom. We do that by allowing the new energy to become alive within our body. And that includes the new beliefs and new ways of being, which are aligned action with our true essence. And then the final step is teaching yourself a new way of being by seeing the proof. The evidence of your lived new experience is vital for your reparenting and relearning, because you now are showing to yourself that you can be more of who you are as you take action in your day-to-day life, and you take action from a place that shows you that you can experience life in a new way that feels easy and peaceful. And you learn that this is both possible and safe. Very important. So that is, in essence, the 3-step process in really a nutshell. And yeah, you can utilize that to your benefit and guide yourself through it. And if you need a loving hand, you can always reach out to me and I'll happily support you with it. Then I would love to move into the examples. So we're going to focus on archetypes, and what I was already mentioning within this 3-step process is that this includes looking at who is alive within you, your inner parts. And there are archetypes alive in your psyche, and they're also in your physical body. And these archetypes have messages for us. What happens when we are denying certain parts within us? They will come out sideways. There's just no way to suppress something that is within you. And the way they come out sideways can be very different. The more presence and awareness you can bring into your inner world, the less drastic they will come out and hit you in the face in unexpected ways. This is life showing you that there is a lesson to be learned. And one story which I would like to offer is from a beautiful woman which I was speaking to. And she wanted to get rid of her inner princess. And she shared, I want to fully embody my queen. And I know that this woman is not the only one who has this thought. And I also want to bring into your awareness that the self-development and industry and the new age spirituality very often tells you that some archetypes are better than others, or they're above some archetypes. So there's this distorted hierarchy. And what this is doing, this message, is that this is shaming the parts of you which are quote unquote lower in hierarchy. When I asked this lady what would happen if she would shift her perspective from wanting to completely get rid of her princess into actually giving her a place in her life. And from this question, wisdom naturally arose. And this was so beautiful to witness. And I'm going to share what she came up with, what that perspective shift meant for her, knowing that this is different for everyone. So take this as an inspiration to open up your range of possibilities. For her, moving from getting rid of her inner princess into giving her a place meant that this was creating freedom to express and create. It was about letting go of control and trusting that those around her can hold her. She also realized that she could set moments to reflect and for healing rather than constantly feeling the need to heal. And then she concluded with an affirmation which I actually invite you to repeat. Her affirmation that arose is, I am beautiful as I am. So let's repeat that 3 times together. Let's practice right here and right now. And especially if you have resistance, take this opportunity. I am beautiful as I am. I am beautiful as I am. I am beautiful as I am. And this is not saying to say this and remove the resistance. This is saying it and noticing, there's resistance, if there is. So we can go very deep into that. However, I would like to keep track and share with you the other examples that I feel will be of inspiration. One of my students, we have been working together over the span of a year or so, and she did a more intense and longer deep dive together with me, which she completed in June this year. She shared that she was really challenged to see her gifts and self-worth without having a certificate, as well as being challenged to accept being different. And she refers to that as the black sheep. So that's another archetype we have there. The black sheep, the one who is different. And she says that, I'm going to actually use her own words. She says, previously, I was blaming myself for this, but throughout my journey overall, and especially with you being me, Gwendolyn, I feel much more empowered and happier about being different. So here you can directly see what possible, quite simple wisdom lies on the other side of the black sheep. Instead of blaming yourself for being different, you could embrace your uniqueness, the alchemized wound of that. So, and of course, there are more ways to look at it, right? This is just the most prevalent example that was in her experience. And I feel that many people can relate to this one And it's a very, very powerful one to allow yourself to receive the gift from. Embracing your uniqueness, that is one of the most relieving acts and perspective shifts that can happen for you. And what I also really want you to walk away with today is that self-love requires radical honesty. I was talking to a sister yesterday, and we've been talking back and forth. And she's really on her path, following her creative spark and exploring her possible next steps, probably like you. And she really demonstrated very beautifully what happens when this honesty arises. I also feel with this radical honesty, we can provide space for that by asking questions. And this is really why asking questions is so powerful. In her way of demonstrating what happens when radical honesty arises, she expressed a desire to get more into her body and to travel to a warmer place. We are in the Netherlands now, and even though these days are quite warm, it's not the warmest country in general. And she was saying that it is so easy for her to get really into her mind and make herself very busy. And she is noticing how it really helps her to get into her body. And I was sharing with her about this 3-step process, which I have given to you at the very beginning of this podcast. And she asked me some questions about it. And through that, going back and forth in this conversation, she then shared a recent insight with me of how she was sometimes using her relationship drama, being very attached to that relationship drama as a way to avoid focusing on her dreams. Can you relate to that? Haven't we all been there? I certainly have, and this is a journey for me still sometimes to be with, basically. So I celebrated her for all these insights, the wisdom, the honesty, and the authenticity that she was embodying here in this conversation. And I asked her, so from that perspective of clarity and wisdom where you're at right now, can you also see how this tendency that you described earlier of making yourself very busy is actually a way to try to avoid your feelings? And she was ready to own that. And then we connected the main step of giving creative expression to her inner world, to her emotions, as the medicine that will move the energy for her and connect her to her emotions. And she understood that actually feeling her emotions is the way to move from this pattern of making herself very busy, because then she's not running away from the emotions by trying to avoid them by doing many different things. and getting lost in her mind, then she is comfortable with feeling her emotions. So then also she doesn't have to try anymore not to be busy, because it happens naturally, because she's comfortable with herself. So there's nothing to run from and there's nothing to try. So that is really the power of this process, which I'm sharing with you, which is the foundation that helps me every day to remain true to my values, and which supports all of the people I work with, and which I intend also to bring into interactions. So, what I would like for you to consider is the promised question: what am I walking away from within myself? What am I suppressing? What am I ashamed of? What am I not willing to look at? And what would happen if I shift from that denial into giving this, whatever it is you're trying to avoid, your emotions, your thoughts, your physical sensations, or an archetype you're suppressing? What if you move from denial into acceptance and giving this a place? Let me know what is happening for you, what perspective shifts have been arising whilst you were listening, perhaps after this episode is percolating within your being. I would be very happy to hear from you. You're very welcome to open a conversation with me. You can just send me a DM on Instagram. Let me know also, was this helpful for you? Are there other topics or challenges that you're facing that you would like me to speak into? It's very helpful to hear your feedback, because we're having a conversation and I would like to be of service to you. So if you let me know what helps you and what doesn't, I can serve you better. I'm sending you so much love, and I'm looking forward to be hearing from you.